was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Martinsville would give us our first real bad race? Welcome back to the episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. My name is Jet. Hope y'all, well, if y'all are still up, then you're probably getting ready to watch the Australian Grand Prix for Formula One, which I'm pretty sure will be 10 times more exciting than what we saw tonight at Martinsville. The 8th race of the season produced our first real bad race of the next gen car. We're going to discuss the reasoning as to why it came out the way that it did on Saturday. This race was absolute domination by Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott led the entire way. I'm pretty sure he led every single lap in stage 1 and stage 2. He led, I believe, 185 laps. To give you an idea on how crazy that is, William Byron led 212 laps. Combine that is 397. Those two drivers alone led all but 3 laps. There was 4 different leaders in this race. William Byron led 212. Chase Elliott led 186, not 185, I should say. The other 2 leaders were Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney. Blaney led 5 laps, and Austin Dillon led 1 lap, and that was through pit strategy, I believe. So it was really Hendrick dominated this race. I've never seen a Hendrick Motorsports dominate Martinsville like that in a long time. Now, stage 1, it was all Hendrick Motorsports, and stage 2, you kind of got to see some other contenders at least have some type of chance. You know, you had the Penske boys of Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, as well as Austin Dillon, who when the race had a very long green flag run, we would see those 3 cars start to step up and make some gains on the 24 and the 9 car. Now, when stage 3 happened, stage 3 is when William Byron took over and Chase Elliott was just left out in the drive. William Byron got the lead from Chase Elliott after getting out ahead of the 9 car on pit road to begin the stage. And so you had Byron in first, Chase Elliott in second, Logano third, Blaney fourth, and Austin Dillon the top 5. Again, those 5 contenders. And once we got into that long green flag run, we saw the 12, 22, and the 3 cars start to, get some momentum on their side. They fit right into that long green flag run, and they got by Chase Elliott. I believe with 116 laps to go in the race, they got by Chase Elliott. Logano gave the bumper to the 9 car, and Chase went from 2nd to 5th, and that was the last time we would ever see Chase anywhere near the front. With 106 to go, just after pitting, Martrick Jr. had a right front tire go down, literally just after pitting. It was the weirdest thing for a tire to cut almost immediately. Had to run over something or had some sort of issue with the car, caused a stack up, but didn't cause a caution, but he did have to bring it onto pit road. The first real caution took place on lap 88 when Denny Hamlin stalled on pit road. We'll get a little bit to the 11 car. He also had an abysmal day. And you had drivers like Elliott, Kyle Busch, Harvick, Jones, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, and Bubba Wallace pit. Byron and Austin Dillon, as a result of that whole shuffling on pit road, they would end up starting 1 and 2, while Chase Elliott restarted 13th. Now, around that time, we actually saw you saw Martinsville in its normal shape and form. We saw a bit more dive bombs become more prevalent, saw a little bit of beating and banging, kind of like what we saw with Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric for a little bit. It got a little bit aggressive, but it lasted for around maybe 3 laps, and it looked like as though William Byron was going to sail to victory lane with ease until 3 to go when Todd Gillen, I don't know if he locked up the brakes or cut a tire, but goes straight into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4 to bring out the caution. This sets up NASCAR overtime. Then you had William Byron on the inside, Joey Logano on the outside. Austin Dillon in 3rd place gets a bad restart. Byron gets a great launch off of turns 1 and 2 to take the lead from Joey Logano, or at least to hold the lead. And then coming off of turn number 4, he loses it, goes up way too wide. That allows Logano to pounce, but Byron perfected. He had an incredible entry into turns 1 and 2 that was able to hold off Joey Logano, preventing him from performing a bump and run move on him, and Byron holds off to win at Martinsville, his 4th career Cup Series win and his 2nd win of 2022, and the first win at Martinsville in his Cup career. It's also Hendrick Motorsports' 27th career win at Martinsville. Absolutely domination. This was in this race, they passed the milestone for leading 10,000 laps at Martinsville, which is the record for most laps led from any team at any racetrack. Again, absolute domination. Byron winning the race, leading 212 of the 400 laps. He had an average running position of 1.6. Incredible, consistent performance by the 24 team. Logano in second. Austin Dillon, the best run of his career, in third. Ryan Blaney in fourth, and Ross Chastain is able to rebound after being outside the top 15 for basically the entire race. Comes home in fifth. Kurt Busch and that 45 team, that 2311 team has been off their game this year. Nice to get them back, or at least nice for the 45 team at least to get back into form here. Solid 6th place finish for that team. His brother Kyle in 7th, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe, and Chase Elliott the top 10. Austin Cindric in 11th, Bowman in 12th, Eric Jones 13th, Kevin Harvick 14th, Chris Buescher 15th, Bubba Wallace 16th, Brad Keselowski 17th, Tyler Reddick 18th, Larson 19th, and Christopher Bell in 20th. Larson, he had a late race pit road speeding penalty, and that's why he fell so short. And then from 20th on back, from Bell on back, these are drivers that were a lap down or multiple laps down. Cole Custer, Truex Jr., Ty Dillon, Adrian Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, the top 25. Harrison Burns, Stenhouse Jr., Denny Hamlin, 3 laps down in 28th place, Daniel Suarez and Todd Gilliland, and then Justin Haley, Corey LaJoie, Cody Ware, JJ Yeley, Josh Bilicki, and BJ McLeod. And here's a look at the playoff grid. William Byron now becomes the first driver of 2022 to score more than one victory. Now has 12 playoff points to his name. The top 7 remains the same, but now Denny Hamlin falls from 5th to 7th in the playoff grid. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and Joe Logano, they are currently safe at the moment. Elliott builds up to a 101-point gap. Blaney 98 and Logano 74. They will have at least a 1-race safety cushion. Truex on back, they're colored in yellow, meaning they can fall out depending on how good of a run they have next weekend at Bristol. Truex plus 50, Almirola 36, Harvick plus 35, Kyle Busch plus 34, then Tyler Reddick plus 15. Austin Dillon now holds the final spot plus 10 ahead of Kurt Busch, Eric Jones minus 16, Daniel Suarez minus 18, and Christopher Bell minus 24. Okay, we have to talk about this race. This race was absolutely abysmal. I heard Ryan Blaney talk about in his post-race interview on how it was extremely hard to pass. You could get a run off of the corner, but then you stall. That reminded me a lot of 2019 when we had that high downforce package with the big-ass spoiler. You could get a run on a car and then you stall. We saw the same thing with this race today, it seemed, at least according to the drivers. Very, very difficult to pass, and you had your run stall out, which should not happen at a track like Martinsville. Now, there's no real explanation for why the racing was so poor. We only saw 5 leaders, or 5 different leaders, and the racing, there was a comparison. If you compare the track before the green flag and then compare the track after, there was barely any rubber that was laid out on the track. I mean, a lot of things just, I feel like, culminate to have a race having way more grip. With a wider tire, independent rear suspension. On top of that, you're not having shifting. You're now bringing shifting into play with a 5th gear implemented. And on top of that, the racetrack was extremely cold. I believe, I have in my notes here, around less than 40 degrees temperature, which we have seen races be cooler in the past, but still, to see very little, almost non-existent rubber being laid out on the racetrack, when you combine those factors, grip, all about grip, and having a racetrack that's extremely cool, which keeps the cars all hooked up, I think it was just a recipe for disaster. And I do believe, hopefully NASCAR and Goodyear takes a look at that on how to improve it, because when we come back in the fall, it's going to be cooler in the fall. More than likely, if we're going to run on Sunday night in the fall in Virginia, it's probably going to be maybe cooler than what we saw here tonight. Someone also brought up probably the possibility of NASCAR getting rid of the ride height rules with this new introduction of the next gen car. In fact, Chad Knaus alluded to this on the broadcast, where he said that the racing has gone down, he believes, due to NASCAR eliminating the ride height rule. All for speculation. I think this race just had so many different things coming together to form one perfect storm, or in this case, one bad race. It is not a good look, though, that the 3 short track races, but because Phoenix ain't a short track, and I think the reason why Phoenix sucked was because of the reason, whatever substance you call on that racetrack. Richmond hasn't produced any great racing for years now, so this is nothing new. It was more of a strategic race, so this was the first real bad race, and eventually this was going to happen. Not every race was going to be amazing. I'm pretty sure I thought the first bad race would come at Texas, but Martinsville had to foot the bill, and they became the first track to produce a bad race for the next gen car, which is okay. It's okay. It's a work in progress. I hope NASCAR and Goodyear are able to figure this out so that they don't have another reoccurrence like that when we come back in the fall. Some drivers I do want to talk about. Denny Hamlin. Oh my God, did he suck today. He automatically in stage 1 reported that he started in 25th. His car was extremely tight, couldn't pass anyone. Near the end of the first stage, he was already being hunted by Chase Elliott and got put a lap down by Chase Elliott. And then Elliott put Michael McDowell 1 lap down, which means Denny Hamlin will be out of the free pass position. Hamlin, at a last desperate attempt, tried to move McDowell out of the way right at the start finish line, and it didn't work. McDowell beat him just at the line to keep Hamlin 1 lap down, and by that point on, it just went downhill from there. I mean, Hamlin so far this season has been in a struggle. You know, I'm pretty sure before Richmond, he hadn't had a single top 10 finish. And then Richmond came in, He wins, pulls a win out of his ass. And now this race is kind of like he was back to form based off this season. Because this season has just been anything but normal for Hamlin. To go from, I think he finished 15th or 21st the week prior before Richmond. He wins Richmond, and then next weekend in Martinsville, he finishes, I think it was 26th or 28th. I mean, that was really all you could say about Toyota. Kurt Busch had the most consistent car, I feel like. Kyle Busch was around the top 10, outside of top 10 for majority of the race. He did put on those fresh set of tires during that last long green flag run and was able to make some ground to move himself inside the top 10, but was never really a factor to begin with. Kurt Busch, in my opinion, had the most consistent car. He had, the most consistent car from the Toyota camp. So did Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace had a much faster car than what the results show, but issues on pit road screwed him out of an opportunity. But 2311 had a much better run today than what they've had so far this season. Toyota, though, they still need to get their act together. Yes, last weekend at Richmond with Joe Gibbs, they won, but now this weekend, once again, not a factor at all. Again, Kurt and Kyle put out some strong runs, 5th, 6th, and 7th place. But then you throw in Christopher Bell, 20th. You throw in Denny Hamlin, 28th. Truex, even though Truex, he had to cut tire down, so that's, he gets a pass, but 22nd still. Still, Toyota is not where they need to be. They still need to make a lot of changes yet. Chevrolet, they're hitting the ground running, especially with Hendrick Motorsports. The 24 and the 9 team, I was surprised that those two drivers were the ones to really step up to the plate. Kyle Larson had an off race. He just wasn't a factor at all. He had some moments, but he finished 19th, but even then, he was nowhere near towards the front. He was just there, just riding around. Alex Bowman finishes 12th place. I didn't hear anything from him at all. So once again, quietly making his way up, inside the top 15, near the top 10. But yeah, this race was an absolute embarrassment. Well, not an embarrassment, but this race was horrible. This race was really bad. Does it rival 2019 Martinsville? I don't think. I don't know. I don't know. Because the issue with Martinsville in 2019 was that it was so tough to pass. That's why we hated it. 2022, same thing. It was really tough to pass. So it's on par. I will say it's on par. But hey, it was bound to happen. We were bound to get a bad race, and we got it today. But that is going to conclude this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Guys, tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this race? I'm pretty sure I got an idea on what y'all thought of the race. But thank y'all so much for watching. Next weekend, Easter Sunday night, Bristol on dirt. Should be an interesting one to watch. Congratulations to William Byron, your winner at Martinsville. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.